Hello, everyone. We're here to talk about SPED ELA Collections. I'm here with Steve Smith, the wonderful ELA ISS for Europe East for grades 6-12, and I'm Aaron Marsters. I'm the Assistive Technology Specialist for Europe East, and we want to provide you a brief overview of ELA Collections and some of the other model unit lessons, and really kind of highlight some of the key features that you as a special education teacher need to be aware of. Steve, you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Welcome, and I hope that you find this information valuable.
So, Steve, I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about what Collections is.
Yes, so Collections is our 6 through 12 ELA adopted textbook, and it is the primary text resource for all ELA students in 6th through 12th grade in our Dodea schools.
And how do teachers or students access this resource?
So there's a one-stop login. It's my.hrw.com, and teachers and students both log in through that portal. Everybody's username will be their Google email address and Google password, and both students and teachers log in through that portal.
Okay, we'll have some of those links in our show notes. And can people access this at home?
And people can access through home. They can access it anywhere the internet is available. It is not firewalled. It is not through our network. It is outside of our network, available to everybody.
Terrific. So, Steve, if SPED teachers have any issues with logging in or accessing, what do they do?
Just email me at my Dodea email address, and which is in the notes there, and I can take care of it within usually a couple of minutes. I can give you access to all the textbooks that you need, and I can answer any questions with password issues and get you logged in, no worries.
So if I'm a SPED teacher that's providing support for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I can have access to all the content for those grades?
You can have access to 6th through 12th grade if you'd like it. I can give you access to any of the textbooks. You just let me know what you need.
Terrific. Thanks. All right, so we have logged in to HRW Collections and logged in under myself. And now I'm going to have Steve kind of direct me and highlight some of the main features that a SPED teacher should be aware of within this curriculum program.
Great, thanks, Aaron. So this is the dashboard, and you'll notice that there's icons, multicolored icons across the top. Those are all the different resources that you have access to as a teacher. When a student logs in, they'll have about half of those. They will have some of the same access that you have, but they'll have about half of those icons when they log in. The first thing I would encourage you to do if it's your first visit is start off with the Collections Guided Tour. It's about a 5-minute video. It just kind of gives you an idea of what's on the collections and kind of gives you some background about HRW and the textbook. The next icon over, the first red one, is the teacher ebook. Aaron, if you could go ahead and click on that, please. This will open up your teacher ebook for the grade level that you've chosen back on the dashboard, and we can.
So I'm going to go back here and just highlight. This is where you can navigate to your different grade levels.
Right. So you'll have all the access to, or all the textbooks that you have access to. You choose the correct one that you want access to, and then you click on that teacher ebook. So now you're in the teacher ebook, and you'll notice it's just the digital version of the physical textbook. That center section on the that's all white. If you put your cursor over it, you'll see that it says go to student book. If you click on that, it'll take you to the actual student version of the book. And now you have access to what the students see.
And I'm going to jump in with a little accessibility minute here. And for me, this is really small text. And so for you as a teacher or for the student, I would recommend going to page view. And you can adjust the zoom level of the book. You can also adjust the layout of double page, single page, or scrolling. So make sure that you and your students are aware of how to make that text a little bit easier to read. So now jumping back over to Steve, where we now are in the student book because we selected the student section of the teacher guide.
Right, so now we're in the student section, and you'll notice at the top of your page there's 2 tabs, because when you open up the student version, it'll open it up in a separate tab. So now you have access to both teacher version and student version. So Aaron, if you can scroll over a couple of pages, and we're going to look for a piece of text that the students would have access to. A story or something. There you go. Perfect.
Oops, sorry, I'm going to go back
No
here.
worries. Either way.
There we go.
So I'm going to let Aaron jump in here because this is a piece of text, and this is actually the introduction. But when you get to a piece of text for the student, you'll notice over on the left-hand side there's a button that says audio. Aaron, you want to describe
Yep.
that or talk
So
about
I'm
that
going
a
to talk
little?
about that a little bit. This is an accessibility tool for everybody, so you don't need to be in special education to benefit from this audio. Now you'll notice on this page where it's all about the introduction, the audio is not present. So if I actually go to the story, that's where I get these read icons and I get this audio. And what it will do if I select it is it is going to start reading aloud, and it's actually using a human recorded voice. So it has better fluency than, say, a computer. But I will say the downside to this is that it does not highlight the text as it reads, and it starts from the beginning and goes straight to the bottom. There's no selectively choosing text and having it read a specific section. So if you have a student that needs that highlighting, or that needs to have, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, or needs to be able to have a little bit more control over their text-to-speech, I'm going to recommend that you use Google Read and Write. All your special education students that need access should have been signed up with me. You bring in your toolbar, and I'm going to use my hover speech. And I just hover the mouse.
Starfish Lorna D. Cervantes, they were lovely in the quartz and jasper sand as if
So
they
you
had
can
created
hear and see
Gerard.
that it is reading aloud with the computer voice with highlighting. And so what a student might do is listen to it once with the human read aloud and then go back again for a closer read, maybe using the text-to-speech within Read and Write for Google. All right, so embedded within the collections text are some icons for close read. And we wanted to highlight this as a useful feature. And if you select that icon, it's actually going to open up a separate tab with a video demonstrating a close read of that actual passage. And Steve, do you mind telling me a little bit about what they can expect from this close read video?
Sure. So it's going to pull up just a section of that text, and it's usually the section that's right close to the icon there, the close read icon. And what's going to happen is you watch the video. It's going to be 3 or 4 minutes, and it's either going to be some students or a teacher walking through, highlighting the text, and kind of doing a think aloud for the text. So it's a very, very focused close read on that particular section of the text. The beauty of it is that generally those close read icons are near the text that really emphasizes the focus of the lesson, whatever the teacher is trying to teach, the theme or the figurative language or whatever it is the theme of the lesson is in that particular close read section. So it's very helpful for the students. It's another opportunity for them to see it in a different way, highlighted, either students and teachers talking about the text and really generally doing a think aloud about the text.
Thanks, very helpful. Now I've gone ahead and jumped over to the 6th grade student book just to show some different content. And we want to highlight now some of the vocabulary options within collections. And so you'll notice that we have some words that are blue and have an underline on them. And what does that mean, Steve?
So that means that those are considered academic vocabulary within the text. And the really great thing is that all students have access to this feature. They click on the actual word that's blue, and it pulls up the glossary definition, and then it actually will read it to them, the word to them, if you click on the speaker icon.
Now, does it read the definition as well, or just the word?
It just reads the word, and then the definition is visual.
Okay, and I see it's also foreign language. All right, Spanish. Okay, now if that's not sufficient for some students with special needs, again, I'm going to highlight how Read and Write for Google might be able to come in. So I'm going to bring up my toolbar, and what I like to do is I like to keep my dictionary and my picture dictionary kind of floating over on the side out of the way. And if I select a word, you'll notice that I'll get a picture of it, and I also get a dictionary. Now, the benefit of this dictionary is that it will actually read the word and it will read the definition aloud. The downside is some of this rigorous text that is in collections, they don't always have those words show up within the Read and Write dictionary. But for this one, they do, cascading. You'll find a lot of times the picture dictionary won't have pictures of the more complex vocabulary, but this is just another option for your students.
And I think you mentioned this, Darren, but it's also in Spanish in the HMH version as well.
Yes, yep, so it's in Spanish. One other thing I wanted to highlight, and this is just general strategies for all students, is make sure that they know how to use the table of contents. We have go to page where you can directly jump to any page within the book by typing in the number. And then what I also like to use is the keyword search to, if they're looking for a certain vocabulary word or a phrase or a concept, to type it in here and have it jump to that section directly within the book. Just ways to reduce kids from just needlessly scrolling through page by page by page and wasting instructional time.
Great tip.
Now, a common task when reading and working in ELA now is to annotate and mark the text. And Collections has some built-in tools to assist with that, where if you select the text, it does allow you to add a note, where you can highlight the text and choose a different highlight color, and you can directly write okay, so you are able to type directly in here, hit save, and it will then save that note within that student's document.
Yeah, and then the great thing about this too, Aaron, is if a student logs out of HMH and goes back in the next day, they go back to this page, the note is saved there, it's highlighted, in this case purple, and so they can go back and refer to it, continue with their notes, add to it, go back and use it as study notes, etc. But it's always saved in their account on their textbook.
That's terrific. Now, the one thing I will say is that if your students need writing support or they need additional supports for annotating text, unfortunately, Read and Write for Google will not read anything in this section, and it will not provide word prediction or text-to-speech or speech recognition. If your students need that, what I recommend is instead of using the Collections annotation tools, use the Read and Write annotation tools. And so I can select text, and then I can choose to collect those highlights, and it will then open up within a Google document for me to annotate. And so here are the text annotations. The last thing I want to show you is the vocabulary tool. So within the text annotations, if you want to define certain words, if you select the single word, highlight it, and highlight it, you can collect those words into a vocabulary sheet, and it is going to create a new Google document with those words, the definitions, images, and a separate column for the students to write their own notes, to make their own connections, to cite how that word might have been used in the text. There are a lot of different things you can do with that. So here is the Google document that is coming up as we speak. So a common question that comes up with special educators is, how do we accommodate for the different assessments? And so I'm going to ask Steve to chime in for a moment and talk about what type of assessments might be used within Collections and within the ELA programs.
Thanks, Aaron. So yeah, so if you look over on the two icons there to the right of your screen, the program assessments and the HMH1 assessment, both of those are really incredible and full of assessment resources. However, I would just say that it's very important for you to collaborate with the ELA teacher that you're working with and see which assessment resources they're actually using, because those go very deep into assessments. There's multiple styles. There's a lot of resources. And if you went in and started looking through them, you might take a lot of your time that's very valuable. It'd be better to collaborate with the teacher first, find out what they're using, and then dive into whatever it is that they're particularly using in their class.
Now, I will say for the accessibility component, if they are going to be using any of these assessments, I do like I'm going to the performance assessment, Unit 1. You'll notice that it's going to open up a PDF document, and if I need that document read aloud, if I need to be able to type on top of that document, I can open up that document within the Text Help PDF reader. So that will provide those built-in accommodations for text-to-speech, read aloud, or being able to type, spell check, speech recognition, word prediction. All those features that we have sometimes listed on the IEP as accommodations are available if they open it up within that Text Help PDF reader. So the last section we want to highlight within Collections is the FIE Site. So Steve, could you kind of direct us on what we can do here?
Sure. So you'll see the FYI site icon, and students will have access to this as well. And if you click on it, you can go through a couple of navigation steps and get to a grade level. And let's see if it's coming up. There we go. So we would click on the grade level 6 through 12, and then English Language Arts. And you'll notice it's in French and Spanish as well. So that's great. And then across the top, you'll see the grade levels. We can just stay in 6th grade. Each collection has 6 collections within it. Collections are considered similar to chapters. So you can click on any of those pictures. So let's just say the first one is Facing Fear. That's the theme of the first collection. And what you have in this FYI site are various informational texts. They're from newspapers, from magazines, from National History Museum, all types of resources. And it's just great for students to have additional support and additional text that they can go look at. Sometimes I've seen students just go in there and do some reading for pleasure to find they're interested in spiders or something, and they go in and find a great article they want to read. So it's just some extra additional support for students.
So the student ebook is where they get their main curricular resource, but if they go to that FYI site, it just extends those same units and lessons into some external resources.
Correct. And external is the key word. It will take you out of the HMH website, and you'll see that, and you just click OK, and it'll take you to the source. Sometimes they're video, sometimes they're just text, magazine articles, etc.
So the videos, of course, being very accessible to some of our students to be able to listen and hear something instead of it having the content always being provided in text format. And what I want to highlight again is if you are using text within these external sites, your friend Read and Write for Google, if I select that puzzle piece, I might simplify the page to remove some of the distractors. And then I can still use my reading tools, my highlighting tools, my vocabulary tools, my word finder tools to be able to listen to the text, find out the different vocabulary, annotate the text. And again, it's all accessible to our students as long as you're using Read and Write for Google and have an active internet connection. So we've wrapped up our review of collections. And now, Steve, I have questions about the model resources or model lessons found on Schoology.
So thanks, Aaron. The model units are designed in conjunction with Dodea and our Catapult Learning trainer partners. And they're really thematic units that are provided to literacy teachers to teach through the college and career ready standards and in conjunction with collections. And there's a lot of connections, if you will, between the two. So why don't we take a look at some of the model units and see some of the features that you may be able to use.
So Steve, the first barrier that a SPED teacher might have with the model units is just actually finding them within Schoology. So I'm on my main Schoology webpage right now. Can you direct me to where to go?
Yeah, let's do that. So again, you're right. The navigation to them is a little bit lengthy, but once you get there, it's easy to find. Once you get there one time, you can always find your way back. And we'll publish the breadcrumb trail to get to them in the notes here. So Aaron, if you go up to your groups icon at the top, or your groups link, and we're going to click on the Dodea College and Career Ready Educator Resource Group, which is commonly known as the Purple Apple Group. And once that pops up, we're going to look at the resources icon that's over on the left-hand side of the page. We're going to click on that and go to Literacy folder. And then we're going to go grades 6 through 12. The model units are only for grades 6 through 12 at this point. And then we're going to scroll down to the Literacy Model Units folder and the ELA model units. You'll notice there's other model units that are designed for the other curriculums. You please feel free to take a look at those. Those are in limited supply. There's just a few of them. They're not for every grade level or every topic within those curriculums. And then let's just take a look at the 7th grade model units for this time.
And I just want to highlight real quick, this is what we're talking about when we say breadcrumbs.
Yes.
This is the pathway to get to where we're at.
Right. Thank you. So you'll look and you'll see that there's some resources at the top. Feel free to click on those and look at those at a later time on your own. But you'll see that you have Model Unit 1 through Model Unit 6. There are 6 model units for each grade level. And we'll just open up the first model unit. At the very top, the first PDF is always the master file, which is the complete model unit, and then each subsequent folder is the individual lessons within the model unit.
Now, do you recommend people use the master file, or is it easier to navigate the separate units?
So what I would probably recommend is that you download the master file to your computer, and then you have access to that. And then when you're working and collaborating with your ELA teacher that you're working with, see what model unit or which model lesson they're using, and you can always go back to the folder for that particular model lesson. But if you have the master file, you'll have access to everything.
Okay, so this has everything that's in here.
It's the entire unit.
Okay.
Correct.
So let me go ahead and select on that right now.
Yep. And we're not going to take time to download it right now, but you can click on the little download icon once
So if I wanted to download, yes, it'd be this button right here.
Right.
And if I want to make this larger, I'm going to click on full screen.
Right, and now you just view the entire unit. One of the other issues or concerns that I always have is if you look up in the right-hand corner, it always opens up at 308%. So I always like to downsize that a little bit so I can make it easier to fit my screen.
So we're back. The PDF has downloaded, and we're now exploring. I've scrolled down to page 27 on this model unit, which is Stage 3 Learning Experiences Instruction. And I'm going to turn it over to Steve now so he can tell us what exactly that is.
So thanks, Aaron. So the Stage 3 Learning Experiences and Instruction, as you'll see, has the materials and the resources that will be included in this particular lesson of the model unit. What we wanted to point out here was the selected readings or the anchor texts, which are listed in that very first box on the upper left-hand side. You'll see here in this particular one, it's an article about Maslow. But for differentiated instruction and students with special needs, you can look down below there and you'll see where it has additional grade level practice, above grade level, and below grade level. And so there's another article in the below grade level corner. You'll see if you click on that, it'll open up an article, and it's a differentiated article that can be used that meets the needs of all students who maybe not at the same reading level or maybe need some kind of accommodations or assistance. So it's the same topic in a different format. And you could probably use your tools that you have. Aaron, you want to explain that?
Thank you, Steve. I just want to highlight again that it will read aloud. You can use text annotation. You can look up the words. You can use your screen mask tool. All the tools that you're used to using within Read and Write for Google are available whenever you pull out any of these external reading selections for below, above, or additional.
Right, and within each model unit and model lesson, there's always a Stage 3 section that will give you that information and those resources. And generally, they're hyperlinked, or it'll tell you it's in HMH Collections, collection number 5 and page number. So there's always a reference to where that is.
Terrific. So the last resource we want to highlight within the model units is the disability section within each, I guess, is it a unit, a lesson?
It's both the unit and the lessons, right?
Units and lessons. So what I typically do is I do a keyword search up here at the top for disabilities, and it will take me to whenever you see this little flower with the heart, and it will give you suggestions for how to differentiate instruction or reteach for students with disabilities. And you can go through and keyword search, and it will jump through each section of the model unit and give ideas for differentiation and remediation. Steve, do you have anything else to support?
I think that covers it, Aaron. I want to say thank you for doing this screencast. And if anybody needs any assistance with anything, please let me know. Email me. And I can usually take care of whatever your needs are within a day or so. So please contact me and let me know.
Well, terrific. I think there are a lot of great resources within the ELA curriculum, and there's some other resources that can be added to even make it more accessible. And I hope that our SPED teachers find this useful and are able to help better meet the needs of their students. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And thank you all who are watching. Please give us feedback or let us know if you need any help.